So, apparently when I first recorded this, I forgot to record the voiceover for rescuing Johnsel. Here we have a simple lifter. It's got an octo on top, a couple of solar panels, and as you can tell, it's got an empty Mark 1, some radial parachutes for return. It's sitting on a 200 tank with an LV909 under it, and then my standard lifter with a couple of trash cans, a boom on it. Now, my last attempt at intercept didn't go so well, so what we're going to do is we're going to try and lead the target a little bit. I'm going to bring Johnsel around to a reasonable location before we fire off. Yeah, that looks about right. Now from here, we're just going to do our standard ascent profile. Basically use our trash cans full of booms, get out there, and then what we're going to do is we're going to aim to put our apoapsis just underneath his orbital line so that we can try and follow along on him. So what's happening at first here during this speed up is I'm just trying to get my orbit straightened out. I'm a little bit behind him, so I want my orbit to be completely underneath him. Now, at one point, I finally get close enough to him that it's worth matching our orbit. So what I'm going to do is once I get reasonably close, I'm going to burn to have our orbits match on the far side of the planet. By doing that, I'll be able to track our distances once I'm close enough and figure out how close we are. Now, there's a setting where you can see the names of objects in the distance. And I had that turned on, which lets me actually target a lot further out than 2.5K. You'll see that here in a moment. So if I come in here, way out there at 27 kilometers out is Johnsel. I've now got him set for target. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start fast forwarding, and I'm going to start looking for how far away he is. I'm going to watch during the speed up, or while we've got the time warp on, and as soon as it starts to reverse, I'm going to burn retrograde to target so that I'm able to try and match his orbit as closely as possible, and then we'll reburn towards him. So what I'm doing here is I'm just watching very closely to watch for when our distance reverses. And it just did, so what we're going to do is we're going to go look for the retrograde burn. And we're going to go burn off that speed so that we're as close to 0.0 to the target as I can be. This typically takes 2 or 3 tries on your first attempt. You have to move around a little bit here, a little bit there kind of thing. There we go. That's relatively close. Now what we're going to do is we're going to aim at the target and burn towards it. And we're going to repeat the process of getting as close as we can until the distance reverses again. And then we're going to zero out our speed differences a second time. So that's all I'm watching here. Once again, we're going to counter our speed, which was relatively significant. A little bit more, there we go. And now we're going to start pushing towards him again. This time not quite so quickly, we just want to drift towards. Got plenty of fuel going still. And now we're just going to watch. Now because I'm so close, I'm afraid that if I warped quickly, I'd blow past being able to see it. So I'm just doing this at 10x speed. And we're just watching distance. You'll see there, I started losing speed again. Excuse me, not losing speed. The distance started to increase again, so I'm going to match speed again. And this time, we should be relatively close. So I'm just kind of chasing a little bit here. And we're just going to close up again. And if I can get under, say, 250 to 300 meters, I'll just EVA him over from there. Or if it's anything even remotely close. So at this point, I'm just going to watch real close. I'm already aimed up to go retrograde and match our speed again. Well, relatively close. As you can see, this does take a little bit of time, but I hadn't done this before, so I'm not fast-forwarding through a lot of this. right about here, we're getting in under 300. And our distance started to reverse again. We were growing apart again. So I'm going to zero off our speed. And this is close enough for an EVA. So what we'll do is we'll switch down to the ship. Now we are on the dark side, which is not always the best place for an EVA. We're going to switch over and fire off his EVAs. I'm assuming most of you have seen an EVA before. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to go up or down, you're going to go left or right until it basically centers off that dot in the center of your Kerbal's head. Turn on your lights and head in. Now, I approached on the wrong side of the ship, so what I did was I switched over the ship to roll the door over just to make my life a little easier. And we'll get Johnsel indoors right after we can find the doorway. Now what's interesting is I don't get an option to grab, just to board. So from here it's just simply deorbit and get him down. And with that, we have Johnsel recovered safely and at home. So now Johnsel will become part of my astronaut training program. Not quite sure what he was. Johnsel is a scientist. Now you'll notice I have 6 Kerbals there. I should only have 5 because I haven't upgraded the center before. The ship cost me 9,900 to go create to be able to go rescue the Kerbal. So you just have to decide from there. Hey guys. So I've got a couple of moon satellite missions here. One of which is to collect science data from space around Moon. The second is to drop a second one into a specific orbit. That one needs a matte bay. And a third one that just needs to be in a specific orbit, powered up. So I'm going to do a double satellite delivery system here. So we're going to start with an octo, and this is going to be our materials bay one. We're going to slap a couple of solar panels on it, an antenna. There. Okay, so base satellite. This needs a materials bay. No big deal. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slap a little fuel on there. And my favorite 48-S engine. Now on top of that, we're going to put the other satellite. So we're going to stick up one of the simplest satellites ever built. One Stay Putnik. One solar panel. One antenna. So, this is going to be what we attempt to drop off near the moon. Now, I also picked up a contract for science around the moon. Just because it's got a materials bay doesn't mean it doesn't say you can't use it. So from here, we're just going to launch this puppy, get it out there. Now the curious part is, what is our actual delta V? Now according to the wiki, the Oxstat photovoltaic panels, which are our solar panels, the communicatrons are both massless items. This means we don't have to worry about them. That makes the weight of this structure 1.0625 tons for reality. Now, this puppy has 0.5 tons of fuel in it. So if we divide 1.0625 divided by 0.5625, we get 1.88. We ln that. Multiply that by 350. Helps if I don't screw up my math. Multiply that by 350. Multiply it by 9.81. This thing has a delta V of about 2100. Since we're not trying to get back from Moon, that should be fine as long as we can get it to orbit. So we're just going to build our standard lifter. Okay, I just clipped the scene where I was trying to play with root part manipulation and building out SRBs as a single component. Doesn't work as planned. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go fuel tank, FL800 onto this thing. Oh wait, can't do that yet. I want a separator. Go. And actually, this separator I want later. So I'm going to add in another group, put that above. Slap on our 800. We'll build out our SRB assembly. This is just so I can keep tonnage straight. Slap another one of these on. 17.5, that's fine. My life easier, we'll use a T45. Not. There we go. Throw a little extra fuel into there just to make sure. Okay. Let's try it that way. There we go. This is just to try and keep my life as sane as possible later. We'll put some struts on so that I'm not fighting torque. And we will lower thrust here to 70. There we go. Okay. So we have our satellite delivery pod. Seems reasonable enough. To the moon! Now I still don't have conics. I haven't upgraded anything. So we have a minor problem. The Octo's reaction wheels are really lightweight. They weren't able to counter that booster, so I kind of ended up going whatever direction the boosters were going to go in. So I'm really glad I put on the struts. With the T45, at least I've got gimbling, so that won't be too bad. And that should have gimbling as well. So, right now I'm trying to have the Octo's reaction wheels move this down. I really should have remembered to put a reaction wheel set into the satellite build. So right now it can move, but it's really slow. So just keep that in mind if you're copying my designs for some reason or another. I currently don't have my SAS on. And keep in mind, I'm still draining electric charge. I also should have put a battery on here to make sure I don't die off on the dark side. I could just tap this thruster to be able to get myself a little extra juice if I get to that point. Right now I'm trying to spin around so that when moonrise comes I can start my burn. And there's moonrise. Start hitting the fuel here just so I can get myself turned around a bit. Go. That's my APO looking. And we're out of fuel. Time to dump that. Hit the next engine set. So again, we're going out to 10.6, 10.7. Yep, overshot a little bit of my 10.6 target again, but that's okay. And now we wait. So, now we see our two satellite orbits we need to achieve. Now, one of them doesn't need the mat bay, and that's the one we care about. So, this is the one we care about. This is the 1.5 million. So, the outer blue one is the first one we want to launch. We have a perio of 249. It's not really where we want to be. So, we're going to adjust our orbit a bit. Now, there's probably no real good way to get my ascending-descending node figured out here. What we're going to do is we're going to push that perio to 1.5 mil. To do that, it's probably easier to adjust this way. Oh, I'm going the wrong direction again. Okay, now I'm tilting my orbit heavily. It's not entirely what I want it to do. That's going to cost me more DV later to bring that back in. So what we're going to do is, if I can read this right, when we cross this plane, I'm going to try and bend. Now that should be an anti-normal bend. Once again, I'm not Scott Manley. Some of this is experimentation. You get to learn with me sometimes. So, I'm going to wait until I'm about here. That's reasonably close. Now let's see if I can't bend my orbit in the correct direction here. I'm kind of all over the place on this. Alright, let's achieve orbit. Aim for perio. Okay, how's my fuel look? Yeah, I burned a decent amount of fuel pulling this stunt off so far. Let's get our orbit figured out. From there, it's a lot easier. I'm trying to do things like I had a maneuver nodes to play with here, and that's not working as planned. 1.4. And that'll work for the moment. Okay, we are all over the place. First thing I need to do is adjust to match their orbit. Which actually I'm close to. So if I burn anti-normal now, be this way? Oh. My electric's holding up. We're good for the moment. Okay, we're lowering our discrepancy pretty significantly here. Let's make sure I don't pull the stunt I did last time. Okay. Now what we'll do is we'll wait until we come over here to the descending node, and we'll flip over and do it the other direction. And still got plenty of fuel. Alright. So, kind of eyeball that line up. Really force the time warp here. How are we looking? That's close. Okay, so we're gonna pick ourselves up. That's not bad. Can't read the numbers. Okay, so we've pretty much balanced off. Now we need to turn our orbit. So I need to push in towards the planet, or towards Moon. Get this apo figured out. So by burning down, you'll see I'm pushing my apo over a bit. That's pretty tight. Alright, So now when I get up to my APO, I'll push this down towards theirs. I'm actually going to cross over an ascending node here. 0.4. So if I go anti-normal a bit, I should be able to level off even more. No, wrong direction, wrong direction. Or too much burn, one or the other. Either way, I need to correct that back down. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong... I was picking up the red one's descending nodes, not the one I'm on. Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, that's a lot of... I think I overburned it before. There we go. Zeros. Beautiful. Alright, now, up to the ascending node, or up to the APO. Alright, now we're going to push our Perio down to their APO. That's retrograde, direction. The Octo's got plenty of spin here. Just didn't have it when I had the larger ship. Maybe what we do is we put the reaction wheel underneath. Oh crap. Damn it. It's gonna get to be a running joke. Runway wandering kid. So our APO is 1.5, so we're going to aim for that. 0.586, huh? Okay, now, we need to turn that a little bit. Which I think I do this way. Yep. That's pretty close. 1.586 to 1.6. So now we're going to go around to the Perio. That looks pretty close. Oh yeah, they need to switch, so that makes sense. 1.5 to 1.426. 1.3 to 1.43. Alright, now we will... Wow, that's a lot of force. But apparently it's... Oh, wow. Okay, separators are no good for dual satellite launches. That was bad. That amount of force ripped off half of its perioapsis. Oh my. Yeah. Oh, wow. Not sure what to say to that, but, well, now we need to go adjust some things. So, we're going to pull Perio down. Well, no, actually, we're better off doing our adjustment out here. So, that's my ascending node. And come around to it. Nope, to self. Yeah, we need a undock for that. That was brutal. So here we want to go anti-normal. Just roll over. Oh, that was a good idea in theory, huh? Gotta chase the anti-normal node. What's my fuel looking like? Yeah, okay, I'm good. Okay. Now we need to slow down and bring ourselves in. There, that's not looking too bad. We'll want to readjust probably out here-ish to save. If I want to save DV, you want to go as close to your APO for the nodes as you possibly can. At this point, I don't care. I just want to get this done. So we're going to bring Perio down to actual orbit height, roughly. So Perio 678. Somewhere's around 700. Okay. Swing around to the Perio. I overshot a bit, but that's okay. Apparently you can complete contracts with one satellite, and you can just keep bouncing back and forth between points. That seems a bit broken to me. Okay, where is my satellite? It's over here. Alright, I'm going to wait until the ascending node. I'm going to get our cells relined up. How's that for targeting? I want to go anti-normal. Hey, what do you know? I picked the right direction this time. How's my nodes looking? Okay, I'm a little off. Wait until we get down to here. That's a descending node, so I've got to adjust upwards. Close enough. Alright, now, get the Perio, we'll drop the APO. Actually, their APO will drop. So give me a little bit better of a lineup. Oh, that's relatively close. And we'll swing around to the orbit's Perio. Oh, I overshot, but hell with it. I'll push that out a bit. There we go. Now shut off SAS. And we wait. There we go. And both of those contracts are cleared. Now I'm going to come in here, fire off the mat bay, and we will transmit it. It's going to recharge as it goes. We'll eventually get there. Just by attempting to transmit, we were able to complete the contract, so that's good. Turning Moon into a Kessler bomb here. Got debris and everything else all over the place. Alright. So back to the Space Center. Do some debris termination here. This thing is slowly suiciding, not fast enough for my taste. This thing actually will fly forever. Let's blow that up. And let's blow up that component. That comm satellite we put up in lunar orbit seems to have finally gotten sucked into the moon and either killed or sent off into nowhere. It's kind of funny. So we're sitting on a good chunk of change now. It's probably time to start looking at upgrading things. Let's start with the tracking station, so I can see what the heck's going on. Flight planning available. I now have maneuver nodes, and I have conics. Additionally, I think I'll upgrade... Out of curiosity, I want to see what the runway looks like when we upgrade it. Huh, looks a lot better. And we have lots of contracts, so I'll bring you back when I get through sifting through these. So I'm poking around the contracts. I want to show you guys something. So let's take a 2-star contract like this one. Satellite in equatorial orbit of Kerbal. Okay, 87K plus 15K advance, 35 prestige, right? This test LV-1R liquid fuel engine is worth only about half that. It's worth about 50K, but look at the prestige I can get off that. That's 349. I'm only at 750. This is the kind of contract awkwardness you want to look for. Every now and then somebody will throw you a huge bone, either in science or in prestige, that may make it worth going after that. Because you get better contracts the higher your prestige is. This alone might be worth going out and playing with. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you was you've got to see how many survey contracts I've got from Moon. It's hysterical. Look at this. This place is littered with survey contracts. Everybody wants me to go run around on the moon. This is kind of funny. Now, the problem, well, not necessarily the problem, but what I don't have set up yet is a crew report capable drone. And to do that, what you do is you attach a drone to a Mark 1 pod. And the pod can take crew reports. But with enough Delta V, you can make them move around and stuff like that. So right now, all I've got open is Explore Minmus and science data from space around Kerbal. I could upgrade my launch pad, leaving me about 20K to go play with, which isn't that big a deal. I can, for example, that ship I sent up before, with 2 satellites attached, it would only cost me 9K. So that's not a huge big deal. A little extra oomph for going to Minmus without having to use the hybrid moon shooter would probably be helpful. And I'm curious. So we're going to upgrade. That gives me a max vessel weight of 140 tons. And I want to go see what it looks like. Oh, hey. It's kind of neat looking. Cool. Oh, while I'm out, I should probably go take a look at what that runway looks like now that I upgraded it. Let's see what it looks like out there. My goodness, it's flat. I'm not rolling backwards anymore. How lovely. How absolutely lovely. Excellent. Alright, so I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do next. Bring you right back. Hey guys, I want to double check how broken something is. I took a new satellite job over at Moon. Now, launch a new unmanned probe that has power and an antenna. I want to check something. I have a feeling that I can cheat this. There we go. Has power. And an antenna. Let's see if I'm right. Pretty sure that as soon as this thing gets off the launch pad, this contract component clears. Actually, I just had to bring it out to the launch pad, and we're done. Recover. Done, done, done. That's already done. Now, I'm relatively sure that with that in place, if I go fly our old satellite that we just dropped off at the moon, I can bring this to here. I am nowhere near the ascending or descending node. Alright, so what we're going to do, that PE is 243. Bring that up. Bring that up. Oh, this is the wrong probe. My bad. I want this one. Yeah, a lack of fuel should have given that away. And this poor guy ran out of juice on me when I wasn't looking. It's okay. Now, where is he in comparison? So, I want to come down to here. I'll both bring in the other side. And we'll go... So I'm coming down, I need to go normal. So, let's bring it round. Okay. So I want forward and normal. Roughly in between, bring on SAS. Oops, wrong way. I'll slow it down, not speed it up. Approaching the ascending node should mean that normal should be reducing this. It's increasing it, that's weird. Oh, I see how it's going. It'll go to 180. Okay, well that's relatively close. I want to bring the PE in still. And now we'll just swing round. Killed my electric charge on that. So go see why I'm not getting charge. That's a different issue. 259. 259, 243. Where I want to be. $255. Yeah, close-ish. I'll have to come around again and fix this. Descending node. Come around on here. Oh, I see what the problem is. I have to flip this completely around. I'm going the wrong direction for this orbit. That's why I'm getting the results I am. And my satellite just ran out of juice because I didn't leave it in the light. And I didn't turn off SAS. Alright, so we can't do anything until we come around to sunlight. Good. SAS got disengaged. Have to wait until some sun hits this thing. I've pretty much oriented this thing into a dead spot. Oh, that satellite's dead. Well, nuggets. Alright, after a couple of days of warping, I don't think we've got a shot. We've moved to a completely different location. The orientation I put that satellite into basically drained off all its juice. So this is no go for this test. No real harm done. I'm pretty sure that any satellite I bring up at this point can complete that, or one that was already in orbit, but I don't have one to double check, so I'll have to retest that another time. So guys, just so you know what to expect on our next one, we've got a request for... Hush now, Gene. We got a request for science data from space around Kerbal, as well as science data from space around the moon. What I'll do is I'll strap a thermostat to a satellite and ship that out. Now you can get away with empty science reports taking care of that. We're not going to. I prefer to avoid doing that. That same satellite is going to attempt to go to 2 different satellites around Kerbal, and then we're going to pull that one into a moon orbit. And we're going to attempt to do that within our little 66.5K budget here. That shouldn't be too hard. We're also going to use LV-1R engines on it so we can clear this test as well. We just got to get it up to that height before we engage them. And there's also a trick to restage engines once you're already in flight, which I don't consider a cheat because, as far as I'm concerned, it's just like shutting the engine off and reigniting it. So I'm not going to haul up the try and fight with it with a full launcher that way. So that's the intent. And once we clear that and we get ourselves set up, I'll start looking at doing a min-miss drop. Satellites are going to be a big deal for us for a little bit. After that, I have a number of temperature scan and visual survey requests. I've got 4 of them loaded up here on Kerbal. And as you can see, they're kind of all over the place. But in general, they're not too bad. We've got 2 sets that are right by us. We've got another set that's down here, down by the North Pole area. Or South Pole, excuse me. Another set that's over on the North Pole area. That actually looks like a reasonable landing zone, so that may not be too bad. So for those of you who want to watch me do more surveys, I will probably be attempting to do that in the near future. I'm not too sure I want to try anything outside this area without turbojets, but what I may do is I may send the plane suborbital and bring it back in, go suborbital, bring it back in kind of thing. But we'll get back to you on that. I need a little spare cash to go play with for that. So satellites first, then I'll attempt to do all these temperature scans all over the place. So, as I was saying, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.